all know a guy who only occasionally shaves for big occasions, and it's because that occasional shave really hurts. It's the time of year for big occasions, and yet there he is, suffering with that cheap drugstore razor. Let's help him out. Henson Shaving's line of razors, built with aerospace precision, deliver a smooth shave your dad, brother, and even son can enjoy, eventually. With replacement blades just 10 cents each, you'll buy it once and they'll use it for life. How's that for the perfect gift? Celebrate with 100 free blades on your first purchase, and no subscription headaches. HensonShaving.com/holiday.
Don't forget that your skin is your largest organ, and the sun can be your skin's worst enemy. Dermatologist-recommended Neutrogena products offer the ultimate protection for your skin. From makeup remover wipes to Hydro Boost Water Gel Facial Moisturizer, BJ's has your entire lineup of Neutrogena skincare products. And now through December 3rd, save $4 on any Neutrogena product at BJ's. Love your skin back and save now through December 3rd, only at BJ's.
Welcome to the No Fruit Podcast,
where we talk about our life experiences with a spiritual twist. Hosted by Maurice
and Kafa. We hope you enjoyed today's episode.
And yes, I do hope that you enjoyed today's episode.
I hope you enjoy every episode.
And I hope that you tune in to all the last ones and the future ones. I would like for you to stay connected with us on social media. Also, you can get connected with us through our email, nofruitpodcast@gmail.com. If you would like to be a guest or you have a topic, feel free to email us. DM us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, or anything like that. So. Now that we talked about being connected, I mean, especially since, social media has allowed us to connect with you, a lot of you, and we thank y'all very much.
For being connected.
Very much so. So, our topic today is talking about feeling or not feeling directly connected. Mm-hmm. So, I brought this topic to Kafa, and she's like, well, what do you mean by that? And I say, hey, however, whatever floats your boat, however you feel, you want to go with this particular topic. So, but what I will say is that when I had come up with this topic, at that particular moment, I was thinking about our kids, with them going to school and being on college campus, and whether or not I'm going to, or how deeply, what's my feelings are going to be with them not being in the house. More especially since our daughter, she already had experienced being on a college campus, her freshman year, and they had to come home mid-second semester, and then being home ever since. And then our son, his junior and senior year in high school was, spent being at home. And so I was just thinking about, how connected and how attached, and for everything that we had done over the last, 15, 17 months, just how connected we were and what we've been going through and talking about and things like that. And so I was just, I guess foreshadowing, if you will, just not feeling connected. Like, well, I eventually feel like I'm not connected to them as they continue to grow and get older and whatever else. Like, what am I going to be missing?
Everything. And nothing at the same time.
Right. So that's where the topic had come from, and I didn't express that to her because I didn't know what the Lord was going to share with her with that, but I just know how I was feeling at that moment.
Well, it's been a few days. Do you still feel connected to your children now that they're away at college? So far.
Yeah, I know, right?
20 minutes ago.
Yeah, I know, right? I think what it is, you're just used to a certain level of conversations, or being able to reach out and touch them, if you will. If I have a question, like, hey, come down for a moment. Well, Kafa would say it's not going to be a minute. Y'all might as well just sit down, eat some popcorn, and get some water or something. But the reality is, I was wondering if I was going to not feel connected to my kids overall. And so to answer Kafa's question, it's been a couple of days. Do I feel that way? It's only been a couple of days, so I feel it, but I feel it in a sense of my time. For those of you who know, I'm an entrepreneur, and so my time was kind of surrounding their stuff. Like I schedule a lot of my stuff around their stuff while they were in high school, and so now I don't have to worry about that anymore. It's like, okay, well, where does this time pop up from? Like today, and more especially, it felt forever. Like it was the longest day. And so, well, I don't know why you're laughing at me, but it did. It felt like, 24 hours is a long time, and I haven't been awake that long. So I just, I just know how I felt, in that, hey, am I connected? Am I not connected? And today I didn't feel connected because I felt like things were just long and drawn out.
I think staying with your topic of being connected to our young adults who are happily at college.
Yeah, right.
I think that the level, like you said, of connectivity with our young people will change. I think that, hey, how was your day at school will change. It will kind of be, hey, whatever is the latest and greatest that they want to share. If they feel as though they need to pick up the phone and call us and tell us, or FaceTime us and tell us, or whatever. So those are the things. It's not going to be the daily, hey, how was your day? It's not going to be the daily, let me see you and I can tell by the look on your face that something's wrong or whatever. Now, because of being connected, we have other avenues other than our children to find out what's going on, because we are connected to parent portals. We are connected to social media when it comes to their school, when it comes to other parents, when it comes to family groups, when it comes to whatever other things that their school offers. We're connected to that. A lot of it based on just the way we've come up and brought the kids up. We were connected with them from elementary school on, being part of home and school association, being part of after school programs, helping to fundraise or whatever it may have been. We've always kind of been hands-on in the community and involved in whatever the children were doing, the young people. And part of that, I think, is connected to the way that Maurice and I not so much grew up, because our parents didn't do that, but I think because we were involved in church, and being involved in church, other people were involved in our lives, and the adults were involved, and we became more involved because of activities that were going on. Right. So we kind of did that a little bit again with having our family, that we stayed connected, not only within the school, but also in the community, doing different events and things in the community. So I think being connected to our school's social media will be an asset for us, because we'll kind of know what's going on to some degree of activities and things like that. Not to also mention that I work there, so I'll be able to see things from even a different perspective. Right. Not so much just what the parents are saying, and not just what my young people are saying, but what other students are saying, because I'll get to hear some of them, and I will hear what other faculty are saying a little bit. So that's what I have to say about connectivity when it comes to what Maurice has said. But when he brought up the topic, what came to my mind was how connected do we feel to the church building, the people of God, the way that we used to, especially since we are, as Maurice said, hey, 15, 18, 20 months since we were all normally going to worship service multiple times per week, face to face in the place. But now things have changed, and I think we've kind of gone through the shock moment and kind of gotten used to what's going on. And some of the people that we know have started to go back in the building or have been back in the building and worshiping, and now they're dealing with some other challenges of being reconnected. So I just want to talk a little bit about that. Maurice, what do you think about that?
I mean, so I'm listening to you, I'm like, wow, like that says a lot. I think there are a lot of people that I know I can think of quite a few churches that never shut down.
Right.
And I can think of a lot of churches where, or even community choirs, they were still hosting concerts, if you will. Now they did have some moments where they did not like pack out the house like they normally would, or pack out the church like they normally would. But you know, I think that for some people, I'm gonna put it the way they put it, their faith was greater than what was going on.
Right.
You know, so so I think that some people never experienced the loss of attending church, if you will, because they were there. Now, some smaller churches, you know, if they didn't have 30 people, then, you know, you could kind of understand some of them still going to church, you know, but those that had 80 or more, it might have been a little more difficult. And, you know, your choirs and the things like that, when they're saying this stuff was airborne and this and that, you know, it's like, hey, like, what precautions should we really take? So I think that the desire to stay connected for quite a few believers was very important, in where they did not have the disconnect. Now, for those that did disconnect, and I could speak of, or think of a few of my clients. Some of them had to, because when the pandemic and stuff hit initially, like, they were ravaged. There are some churches that had 15 to 20 members, go on to glory due to COVID, if you will. So, you kind of when you think about that, you kind of have to keep in mind what is the leadership. What is the leadership doing? What is the leadership saying? What is the leadership? How are they managing their flock? How are they encouraging people to?
How are they staying connected?
Right.
How is the leadership staying connected so that others are connected as well? Because
the reality is, they could have. There's so many churches that were very successful in having outdoor services. There were a lot of churches that were successful in having their virtual services, right, and still having that feeling of being connected without having to be in the building. And there are some churches that they didn't understand how to achieve that because they're so used to tradition of, hey, we got to do it this way.
Right. And I think what I'm also getting at is the reconnecting being that, hey, things are beginning to open up and we want to get back to, some people want to get back to what they had before, like you said, that traditional feeling of church service. We're all coming into a building and having worship service. But there's some that still don't want that, and they liked the online service. They liked having service on social media or wherever it may be, because it was more freeing for them.
Yeah, I mean, so I would agree. For some people, I mean, some of the worship services that I was on, and when I was assisting some churches, trying to transition into this digital space, mm-hmm. I can tell you one thing, there were people on worship services walking through the market.
Right.
There were some walking through Walmart. There were some sitting in the park. There were some walking on the beach. There were some laying across the couch in their living room. So, I mean, those are some of the mild things. So some of you saints, y'all are very interesting, I must say. But, I think in trying to reconnect, as you're stating, Kav, I think that there's some people that, hey, they stay connected, especially if you were already close, mm-hmm. And so I'm a liken it to when we were attending on a very, very regular basis. Those people that we were really, really cool with, we never lost contact. For those individuals that we were, hey, how you doing, pleasantries on Sunday, yeah, you would lose contact with them. You might see them like, hey, how you doing? That'll be about it. So I think that if you were already cool with someone and really, really close with someone already, I think you would have checked up in on them, hey, I'm going to drive by, drop this off, or whatever it might have been. You get what I mean?
I understand. And just a segue from what you're stating, or what just hit me was, then how do we stay connected with Christ?
So ultimately, when I was thinking about the whole kid piece, right, and I just wonder like, hey, when we go off and do our own thing, how does, our Lord and Savior feel? How does our God, our Father, how does he feel? Is he one of those persons, is he in that place where I feel like personally of just like, all right, I'll just sit back and wait, and I'll wait and I'll wait until they, come on back. So, beyond that, because we already know that, our steps are ordered, he already knows what the end is going to be. It's just a matter of us, us making that turn, of coming back, of, whatever that is. So when do we realize it's time for us to, or when do we recognize that season, that semester, or whatever, when do we realize that that's over? It's time for us to go back, mm-hmm. to be connected again.
Right.
From a college perspective, hey, after finals, things are done. Like, really, the school, I have no choice. The school is going to kick me out, for some people. But when it comes to this church and comes to Christ, unfortunately, we decide to get connected when something negative happens.
Right.
Not when, because if everything is going good, we're not praying like we should be overall. Right. We're not tithing and fasting and reading our Bibles like we should be if everything's good. We normally don't get to that point until everything is feel like it's falling apart.
Right.
So what is that point of reconnecting? What does that look like?
Yeah. I think it differs from person to person.
Right.
Of what is your connection like? Who are you connected to? And how are you connected? So a few things are coming to my mind, and I'm flying all over the place. Somebody try to pull it back in and go one way. So I do recall when it comes to church being connected in a way where, hey, if you didn't come to church, somebody called you.
A class leader, maybe?
That's what they were called in some places, yes. Class leader. So, and I remember I was a class leader for some period of time, and I had this list of people I had to call every week, and whether they came to church or not, you just had to call and reach out to them. And then if you didn't, and if they didn't come to church, then you kind of had to report back to somebody, I don't know, if it was a small church, you report it back to the pastor. If it was a larger church, you report it back to whatever the next level is. And you let them know, hey, I talked to sister so-and-so, I talked to, brother so-and-so, and they're okay, or they need prayer, or they need, they're struggling with whatever. So then somebody would reach back out to them and, offer more guidance or whatever was needed, fill in that gap. And that was part of being connected as the family of God. So, and that was a lot of telephone calls. I remember being connected and having that telephone tree. Do you remember a telephone tree back in the day? You call one person and that person calls the next person. And we did that a lot for like choir rehearsals or just church news, and I think that has changed. There was always a little bit more with that because you'd be on the phone with that person and you could share more than just like, hey, this is what's going on. We have rehearsal at this time. You had their phone number. You could reach out to them. Where now it's all kind of social media and it feels close because things are shared that maybe not would have been shared on the phone or in any other social gathering. And it's shared with so many different people. However, you can't really engage much more. It's just kind of, hey, this is the picture I want to put up and I want to say I had a great time. And that's that, versus me calling and saying, hey, where were you last week? We missed you. Oh, I went and hung out, at the beach and the kids and I did this and that and so forth. And so you can get maybe a little bit more detail. You can respond and say, oh, where did you eat? And what did you have? And those types of things where, again, social media kind of answers a lot of questions for us, where we don't necessarily have to have that connection other than the connection, the initial connection of having them as a friend or having them as, you're following them or whatever. Beyond that, you don't have to know anything. You can just scroll and click and see their life.
I think there's another step to that, which is text messaging.
Right.
So even if, and I'm thinking from a senior's perspective, right?
Uh-oh. You know about that?
Yeah, right. Yeah, not I, but it's my senior family members.
No, you can speak from experience. Go ahead.
But what I will say is that for those that don't have social media, and I will talk from experience. My great aunt, she had a cell phone a couple years ago. She decided, I want this cell phone. So she
just like her.
And so now she's back on a cell phone. And you want to know what the truth is? She's texting like crazy. So I think even if I don't speak to you verbally, I think it's a little quicker and easier sometimes for people to like, look, yo, how you doing? How are you? HRU, whatever you want to use to say we're reaching out to you, so forth and so on. Also, I think that from I want to dodge you perspective, right? You can, because everybody has these cell phones and they have caller ID and things like that. I could just silence you real quick and not even answer the phone. Versus the time you're probably speaking about, even though some people did have caller ID, but everybody did not.
Correct.
So I know we were one of the, early adopters to caller ID. So I could speak upon, hey, it was very interesting having people call and they'd be like, well, you know what? You didn't pick up the phone or whatever else. Oh, no, because I got caller ID. I mean, I didn't tell everybody that. I just like, oh, no, I wasn't home. You get what I mean? So.
You lied to people?
Look, I'm just going to be honest, because some people you just don't want to talk to and just be on the phone forever. And then, but to go to the next level of that, I'm going to be honest, even some of the class leaders I didn't want to speak to because of, I don't want to hear that I'm sinning or whatever else.
Or just sometimes the gossip, because that's what it became.
Right.
The gossip line.
Well, I mean, for me, it wasn't that. not for my class leaders. It was just like, you're a young person. You need to be in church. And you didn't need.
Oh, you had an old person as your class leader.
Yeah, because the person that would have been my class leader when I was young adult-ish, I guess. He was a young adult himself.
Right.
And he might have been the reason why I wasn't in church. So,
Yeah.
I
was the young adult class leader. I had to call all the kids,
Yeah, I wasn't. I was never a class leader.
18 and under, I had to call them in.
Yeah, so my class leader, he might have been he would have known if I wasn't going to be there a lot of times because we would talk during the week and all that time, and we hung out and all that type of stuff. So
he was doing his job.
He was doing his job without doing his job.
Right.
Because he would know if I'm going to go visit somewhere else, I'm doing this, that, and the other, like I'm going to be out of town or whatever it might have been. So he would have known, and then if he'd call like, oh, Reese, you didn't call and say da-da-da, I'm like, well, remember I was doing this, and this. He's like, oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot. So it'll be a whole nother situation. So I never had a class leader. I'm sorry. Most of the time my class leader was older. But when I had a younger one, well, I think they only had him for like a year. I only had him for like a year. Yeah, I guess maybe he didn't want it anymore. Or maybe he was like, he wasn't giving up the right answers to the powers that be, I guess. Yeah. Now you got me reminiscing because now I need to, it makes me want to call him and find out what happened. I mean, that's some umpteen years ago, but, so I think that, that vibe of staying connected, it's so many layers to it.
Right. So one of the other things that I said, remember I said I had a couple of things swirling in my head. So the other thing was not only making that reconnection in church and with the body of Christ and, those things, and even with God himself and how are you connecting to him and reconnecting, but even with our families, like for so long we would get together in the summer and have cookouts, and then we would get together in the holidays and have holiday gatherings. So that connectivity has changed in the last, year plus. And I wonder what it's going to be like moving forward. Like, are we all going to try to get together in the holidays? Or is it going to be, So. I
mean, I think, again, for some people, more especially some of our older sages, as some people says, again, that's what they did during the holidays. The family got together.
Right. And we haven't in the past year because of the pandemic.
But there were some family members who still did it.
Right. So I'm just wondering, like you said, hey, there's been some loss and things like that. And when do we come back together and reconnect? And
I think, so for an example, for those of you who know about trunk parties, we had one for our son, and we had family members there and some friends, and it probably was a good 20, 25 people there all together. Huh?
And it was outdoors.
But it was outdoors. So, that was the selling point, I believe. Everybody was outside. I mean, you could go inside if you wanted to get out the heat, but overall we were outside. And we made sure that whatever we had done for him, it was going to be in that space, unless it was going to be a drive-by. But I think it did people good to see each other at that time, and utilizing nice day, nice and hot outside. Everybody could be outside.
Right. And it was tented, that type of thing. And like Marie said, there wasn't a place that people could go indoors. There was indoor facilities and things like that. So it was kind of the best of both worlds. Maurice was able to hang out with his friends and do all that kind of stuff. So it was good. And I guess what you're getting at is just connecting. And I think that was our main thing, not only for our family to connect, but for our son to connect with his friends and his classmates who hadn't been really together a whole lot during the past year plus because of the pandemic.
Right.
they were able to get together for prom. They were able to get together for graduation. That kind of sparked this feeling of, hey, let's hang out.
And see, I think stuff like that is what, where you said that spark.
Yes.
That's what's going to get people to say, hey, I need to get back to church.
Right.
That spark is, hey, I need to get back to school. I mean, right now the kids are back on school, back on campus. Yeah. I mean, our daughter, she does have a roommate. I mean, technically she has 2 other ones. So it's 3 altogether in this apartment. But her room that she has to share with her other roommate is a little tighter than I would like. Yeah. Let's be honest. And the other roommate, she's in a whole single by herself. Now, Maurice, he's in a room by himself, period. And when we went to go move them in, I think for the time that we had moved them in, no one was really in each other's face. But I have no clue once everybody gets there by, I believe, Sunday. Most people should kind of be there that's going to be there, most, because classes start on Monday. So you just wonder, how are they making sure that people are still respecting any CDC type rules? They have, because the school itself, they have stuff going on all the way up until almost mid-September, almost every night, again, to stay connected, to feel like, hey, we're we're at college, to get the excitement back. I mean, you got to do what you got to do.
Right. So again, taking that idea, again, that this school is offering activities every day, midday, every day in the evening, providing activities for people to come out of their rooms and get connected with the school, get connected with organizations, letting them know, hey, this group is here to help you. This group is here to provide services. All of those things is a way of connecting. And I have to say, I was there today, walking through campus. There are a lot of people. And as Maurice is saying, that's only a portion of them, because today, it's not even, we're not done with moving in yet. So, plus it's a commuter, you have commuter students and all those things still yet to come on campus. So, but there were a lot of folks, some were close, but there's no mandate to wear your mask outside, but I prefer to wear mine outside in all times. But it'll be interesting moving forward, and how we handle things moving forward and staying connected, but being safe with it.
And and let's be honest, it's funny because we're, in most cases, the people that are trying to get connected or get back into the flow of regular everyday life. For something like church, they're not pressing as much.
Right.
They're not. And so I know it took us a whole half an hour to even really start to dive into this piece right here, but it's funny because we're talking about all these regular everyday scenarios and situations, and feeling connected to our kids, and when we walk away as God, is he feeling the same way that I feel towards mine, knowing that, hey, I know that they're about to leave. Is he just waiting for me to come back mindset? And then, as Kaf is saying, the desire of everybody want to get back on campus and get back to school and let's have fun. And it's been like 3 years since I seen you last, and all, so everybody wants to enjoy that. So why is it when it comes to church, we're playing it safe? And I had mentioned, if you realize, unless you remember, I did mention that there are some people that have never closed their doors, so now these other churches are, because I just saw on social media the other day, 2 churches said, hey, we're going back to being closed, and that's because, there's more nervousness about this variant than the first go round, to be honest, so, and a lot of their people, they've noticed, have been out more frequently lately, because it is summertime, nobody wanted to stay in the house during the summer. It's nice outside, and I've been, it's one thing to be cooped up in the house when it's cold. You're normally in the house anyway when it's cold. Right. Normally, right? Well, I'm sorry, for those of us that's in the northern hemisphere, part of the, but it's cold outside, it's rainy, it's snowing, it's sleeting, whatever else. So yeah, you're gonna stay in the house. Well, once the weather breaks, everybody wants to be out. So, but what happens when, or why is it that we're slow walking the church aspect? Why aren't we taking some, the mindset of some of these other churches that has, hey, God is going to bless us through the whole situation. Some people feel as though that, and it's funny in this church, the church community overall, some people feel as though some churches are not being realistic, that they should be a little more cautious. There's some people saying, hey, you're way too cautious. Are you not a hospital mindset? And that
are you fearful? Right. And then what are you fearful of? And if the church is supposed to be the leader of the community, then how are you leading things?
Right.
So, I mean, that's a whole nother show.
Yeah.
But, we all have to be connected.
Oh, no, most definitely.
I think God created us so that we were to be connected.
Right.
I think, again, from the very first book, he realized that, hey, it's not good for man to be alone. Right. That we have to be connected. And we were so connected, and we can keep on going on for that he created.
Yeah. That's my rib over there, y'all.
That's right. Big old rib over there. That we're so connected that I am made from him. So
right.
that's powerful. So stay connected, y'all. Stay connected, Maurice.
I mean, I have no choice.
Really?
Yeah, I have no choice. Because God has ordained for us to be together. Hey, Kafa, what do we want them to do?
Maurice, we want everyone to stay fit with Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Follow, share, comment, and subscribe to the No Fruit Podcast.
Continue to listen to us on your favorite podcast channels.
And look for new episodes every Thursday.
We thank y'all very much for listening to us.
May God bless you all.
Peace.
We all know a guy who only occasionally shaves for big occasions, and it's because that occasional shave really hurts. It's the time of year for big occasions, and yet there he is, suffering with that cheap drugstore razor. Let's help him out. Henson Shaving's line of razors, built with aerospace precision, deliver a smooth shave your dad, brother, and even son can enjoy, eventually. With replacement blades just 10 cents each, you'll buy it once, and they'll use it for life. How's that for the perfect gift? Celebrate with 100 free blades on your first purchase, and no subscription headaches. HensonShaving.com/holiday.
Don't forget that your skin is your largest organ, and the sun can be your skin's worst enemy. Dermatologist recommended Neutrogena products offer the ultimate protection for your skin. From makeup remover wipes to Hydro Boost Water Gel Facial Moisturizer, BJ's has your entire lineup of Neutrogena skincare products. And now through December 3rd, save $4 on any Neutrogena product at BJ's. Love your skin back and save now through December 3rd, only at BJ's.